Welcome to our new show, The Current, where we discuss current events, things that are going on in society and culture, and could be pop culture, could be political, could be anything.
It's really just an excuse for us to talk.
It really is. Kevin
is.
really enjoys talking, so we thought I'd give him a shot. So
Thank you.
Let's talk about Neil Young.
I don't like Neil Young.
Didn't think we'd be talking about Neil Young being
I think
relevant
Leonard
in
Skinner
2022, but
Leonard
here we
Skinner
are.
put Neil Young in his place.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't you think?
Yeah, the Southern man don't need him around anyhow.
Don't need him around anyhow.
Yeah. But it is what it is. So if you don't know what's going on, or if you're under a rock somewhere, here's what's
Did you
happening.
look at me when you said that?
He did.
I did.
I thought you did.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
It was direct.
So Neil Young has his music on Spotify, and he said either you pull Joe Rogan's podcast off of Spotify, or I'm pulling my music off of your platform. I mean, there's other platforms like Apple Music and those other kind of streaming services he's still on, but Spotify is the one that holds the exclusive rights to Joe Rogan's podcast. And he had mentioned some stuff back in December about COVID and all this stuff that he didn't agree with.
Joe Rogan has been very hesitant, and even now, my opinion is very anti this whole COVID vaccination. You know, is there government conspiracy? Are they just blowing it up? You know, just some regular virus that's getting out of hand. And he's had on quite a lot of medical professionals and just people with opinions that very much go against the narrative that mainstream media and the White House is trying to push and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, Joe Rogan is not very well liked by the people in power right now.
Yeah.
But here's what's interesting. Spotify paid was it $100 million or $1 billion?
It's a lot.
I don't remember. Like this exorbitantly large amount of money for the exclusive rights to Joe Rogan's podcast.
I think it was $100 million. That's what I
It's
remember hearing.
hugely popular. Number one podcast there is out there.
By a long shot.
By a long shot.
Yeah. He's huge.
And so anyway, it's basically Neil Young versus Joe Rogan. And Spotify said, we choose Joe Rogan.
And now there's as of the time of this recording, there's other artists that are joining Neil Young's fight, and they're pulling their music off of Spotify too. Joni Mitchell was one of the big ones. And the funny thing is, I saw a meme that was really funny. It said, everybody under 30, who's Neil Young? And then everyone from that range up was, what's Spotify?
That's good.
So
that's
perfect.
You know, people that are listening to Neil Young really aren't going on Spotify.
I was just
anyway.
going to say, like, I think the Spotify catalog just got better.
Yeah.
Take that crap off there. I don't
Well,
care.
I
Can they go ahead and take Bruce Springsteen off and the Stones?
Yeah,
and, like, I've got a lot of suggestions to get rid of.
REM's a good one. Take them off.
Oh, Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the topic, right?
I thought we were just naming bands we hate.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I saw another meme, speaking of that. It said, Yoko Ono said that if they don't pull Joe Rogan off, she's putting her music on Spotify.
Cancel it. Spotify, count your losses and move on.
Oh, thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
no,
is so
it's not.
simple to talk about. To me, it's just so clear. Everything, you guys, we talk about a lot. Everything has to do with a principle. What principle are we violating here? For Neil Young to even think like that is the most communist, controlling, against free speech. I mean, come on, what is this? I'm 4 years old. If you're not going to agree with my values and morals and statements, then you should shut up. Do we want to go down that road?
And yet he's on a side that would claim to have tolerance and all these different things.
Acceptance.
I think
But
we've
shows
proven
none
a
of
long
it.
time ago that that's not true. That's just you don't have to be. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're going to be honest with yourself and true to yourself, you can see that some of the most intolerant people in the world claim to be tolerant. I'm going to shut you up because you don't agree with me. This is simple. It's clear to see. There's a principle. If we want to go down this road as a nation, now it gets difficult, guys, when we have this is a private company. Private companies can do what they want. And I
Yeah,
think that's the
absolutely.
big argument with Facebook and other social medias is like, who's controlling that? Well, as long as it's a private company, they can do what they want.
Yeah, they
All
can.
right? As much as I might disagree with them, I believe in free speech. Even if somebody says, I don't believe in Jesus. If you believe in Jesus Christ, you're a moron. I hear it on all the time. Well, I'm not going to say we should shut you up.
No.
Go ahead and say that. I disagree
your
with
opinion.
you.
I'm just not going to engage in your
Right.
products or your services.
Right.
That's the benefit of
if-
capitalism.
If we were to flip this conversation to a Christian perspective, what we hear, maybe I'm going to refer to it as the left, or what we hear, by the progressives or whatever, doing their this idea that you have to accept everybody and all that stuff. If we did that from a Christian perspective, we would be offended and shut everybody down. Everybody. Because
Unfortunately, Christians sometimes are some of the worst at this cancel culture thing.
this whole idea is, if we want to continue to live in a free country, that means you are free to be different than me. If you try to force me to accept and embrace your differences, otherwise I am not counted, now you just crossed the line. That now isn't freedom.
Right.
The point about freedom is this: we are different. We can be different, and we can all express our different opinions. And for Neil Young to say, I want to control the airways, I don't want anything going out that's going to be what I disagree with, is absolutely anti-American. It is anti-freedom.
I think he's Canadian, isn't he?
It's childish.
It's childish.
I'm going
for
to take
sure.
my ball and go home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. Then go home.
The part that I find really, really odd, I'll say odd, is back in the 60s and in the early 70s, wasn't he a protest guy? Like he would write protest songs and protest
Anti-establishment
music. And now it's all of these. Joni Mitchell's another one. She was of that time that. But even if you go newer than that, like Rage Against the Machine, they wrote protest songs, anti-government, like all of this, and now they all seem very pro-government and control. And,
F you, I won't do what you tell me.
Right.
In the 90s.
Right.
And now
it's-
you can't come to our concerts unless you've gotten the jab. Well, wait a minute.
Right.
You better not sing that song then, because
you better do what they told you, or it's. I mean,
It's illogical.
it's very weird.
It doesn't make sense. You can't. We as a culture can't live in peace and unity with that kind of I'm going to shut you up.
Right.
You can't. And that doesn't matter where you are. I mean, I personally believe, as a Christian man, that Muslims have the right to build a mosque wherever they want to build one. This is America.
Yep.
Well, in Chisago, the Buddhist temple right there, you know what? They have every right to buy that land and build that. And you know what? If you're a neighbor and you didn't want them to do that, you should have bought that land and prevented it.
Right. Yep.
I don't know.
And
It looks interesting where
I'm-
it's placed, though.
In Chisago.
I mean,
I'm fine with a Buddhist temple there, and it's really shiny. And I'm fine with it. Matter of fact, you know what? That's the beauty of where we live. Now, take it one step further, and I'm totally against it. Where now, if I have to now embrace it, if I have to attend it, if I have to talk positive about it, now you just cross the line. That's not freedom anymore. Freedom to be and think whatever you want. But as soon as you want to control what other people think, now you're just going against exactly what you want.
Yep. Yep.
And like you said, what are you, 4 years old? Everybody can do what they want as long as it's what I want to do. Hello, that's not how it works. Okay?
Yay, diversity!
Yeah.
What the heck?
As long as it's the way I think and the way
Yeah.
So this very discussion, we could cover 1,000 topics. It
Sure.
all comes back to the same principle.
But we won't, because we won't have 1,000 episodes.
Okay. Well, let's cover it right now.
Yeah.
It's this principle. If you want to be free, if you want to believe what you believe, what this nation was, I guess, founded on, the freedom to believe what you believe, the freedom to think what you think, to have your own, to build your own life your own way, I'm all for it. If we want to keep that, we can't shut people up who think differently.
Right.
Because who's going to be on top to say what's the proper way to think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even speaking from a Christian point of view, like you
Absolutely.
said, and not all Christians are good at this.
No.
But from a Christian point of view, if I want to be free as a Christian, then I have to allow you to be free to do, believe, and worship however you want. Go ahead.
I think that's what God did with us. I'm going to give you free will, and
Yeah.
it's my kindness that'll whatever. This sort of like this, my way or the highway sort of thinking that is being pushed upon us right now is different issues. It's different symptoms, but it's the exact same principle that you see in these dictatorship regimes that have always been here throughout the earth. The Taliban, North Korea, you look at Stalin, Nazis, all of that sort of thing is all about this fit in, do what we want to do, shut up, don't go against it, or else you're ostracized, or we're going to put you on carts and take you to the showers.
You can't think different. You can't speak different. You can't value different. You have to fit into this. Well, that's what this movement of tolerance and everybody can be is doing. They're narrowing this to, if you don't think, speak, value exactly the way we do, then you're done. You're canceled. You're out. Hello, bubblehead. What? It's just, it's absolutely talking out of both sides of your mouth. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so strange how it seems like it's happened very, very quickly. Like just recently. I mean, from my perspective, it feels like just over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's spun out of control and it's gaining
the warning
momentum.
signs have been there for a lot longer. It's it's finally it's starting to burst.
It's coming to fruition and it's like becoming a thing.
Although with that though, I started to see not nearly enough, but more people, no, this is not okay. No, we're not going to do this. The truckers up in Canada going to Toronto and okay, well, maybe all hope is not lost.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And if you want to see bias, the news up there isn't covering it.
Of course not.
They're not covering it.
Of course
at all.
not. That doesn't fit the narrative.
Right. They're not covering any of it. You've got to go to like Australian news or I haven't even seen it on our news. I've just seen it on social media type stuff, and I've seen it. Australian news is covering everything.
So what would you? What
they
would
have
you
nothing
say?
else to do in Australia.
Right,
They've been
maybe
locked
that's what it
down
is.
for 2 years.
Right.
What would culture say today if if Trump was still president and he was nominating a Supreme Court justice?
Whoa,
and he
we got to
said-
save that for another video. I'm
okay.
way too fired up about that
Okay,
one.
all right.
What? I can't even go there right now.
Because we don't want to be racist or sexist.
Right.
No.
Next week.
Okay.
Next week. We can't
I
possibly
literally
get
was
it.
listening to
Hold
that on the way in.
Hold on. What? How much?
Man.
We only have 14 minutes left. That is not possibly enough time.
But we will end up in the same thing. What
We will.
principle are
Yeah.
you? We can't just do. 1 + 1 = 2 if you want it to, but it equals 6 if you need it to. Hello.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know if I can.
There's such double standards. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, the double standards, but in the name of single standards. It's just
In the name of equality and equity, we're going to judge people based
because of equality. We are going to make judgments on.
Because well, you know what? God dang it. Let's just get into it. In the name of not being racist, we're going to make decisions not based on
Not
qualifications,
racist, but also
not
sexist.
education,
No.
not effectiveness,
Ability.
not ability, not trustworthiness, simply
Not track record,
which I didn't
nothing.
think we could even assign gender anymore. I mean, do we want to get into that topic?
We could. We should talk about sports and where that's going.
Why does it matter what the Supreme Court nominee looks like and what's in their pants if we're not supposed to worry about what people look like and what's in their pants?
Well, we don't want to judge by race or sex anymore.
Right.
So we're going to look for somebody we're only looking for a black female.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are those 2 qualifications?
Yeah.
What are those 2 qualifications?
I can't.
Those qualifications are exactly what we're trying to get away from.
I just can't.
You know what? I don't know what word to use, but stupid. I don't know how do you describe that kind of thinking? I just don't get it.
It's frustrating. At least, you know what? Just come out and be honest. You know what? What we want to do more than anything else is lift up minorities to a place where they're on top and they do everything. I think that has to go back to the message recap, just being honest. And that's what, like,
Right.
Just come out and say what it is your real agenda is and what you want to do. And like, let's just have a real conversation from there. At least if they're honest, at least we can debate.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it and we can get our opinions out there, and we might never end up agreeing. But at least there's not this phoniness of like no ball inequality for everybody. Like no, but it's not. You are dismissing an entire swath of qualified judges.
Right.
Because in your name of equality.
Because they don't line up visually with what we're in.
What?
Yeah.
God
I am
dang.
going to make my decision based on the color of your skin. What do we call that? Okay.
God, there's a word
There
for
is
it.
something.
I got to get a dictionary.
And
I don't
based
remember.
on your gender, we are going to make this decision based on those two things. What do you call somebody like that?
I don't remember.
It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I don't know
What is happening in our world? What is happening?
I know. I know.
Oh.
It comes down to this. I mean, spiritually, we walked away from church, which then destroyed our families, or blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into that. But what happened to our world is the inability to think. The inability to think for yourself and reason. Everything's emotionally response.
Yep.
And we haven't taught, even look at our leadership today. We used to have leadership of people who were great thinkers, and just really discerned issues and thought and made wise. Now we just have, and I'm not pointing out, just generally speaking, we have a culture that just responds or reacts to feeling. There's no ability to think and reason. Walk that through. Well, if you do that, what is that saying? We used to say this all the time. Well, what if everybody did that? What if we give this person this for that reason? Then what would that mean for if everybody did that? Or those kind of concepts. So if you force somebody to only put on your agenda stuff, well, what if everybody did that? Now they're going to stop your stuff. I mean, it always hits a brick wall. I mean, we could talk about this whole, female sports thing. You're going to hit a brick wall when you're just moved by emotion and you don't think about it.
Hey, Caitlyn Jenner's been
Yeah.
riding that for a while now. Like, wait, we're ruining women's sports.
Right.
Yep.
We will destroy women's sports. So where are the feminists? I don't hear them saying anything. Why?
Yeah.
Why aren't they up in arms? I mean, at least publicly, I haven't seen that we have biological males competing
in women's
as
sports.
females
Yep.
and breaking all the records. Where's the women's movement screaming against that? Or, what? I don't get. You can't have it just. We can't live in a dream wish world. I just wish everybody to have unicorns. Okay, there aren't any. Let's get back to reality and think. Okay, and just we can't live together in peace and be productive and make lives for ourselves if our decisions are made off of how we feel.
So, there's maybe a question for all of us. Just kind of, I assume we got to wrap this up soon.
Yeah.
What would you say from a Christian perspective then? What God says, what we can read in the Bible. What do we do with this? Like, how should we view this? How should we handle ourselves in culture and conversation, in our own thinking? Like, okay, we railed on stupidity for a bit. Like, what do we take from this from a Christian perspective?
Yeah, I feel very strongly about that, and I've been criticized a little bit, but I think just not be silent. No excuse to be a jerk. No excuse to put other people down. It's hard from all perspectives.
Still be loving, still be kind.
Absolutely.
Although another video on loving, what that means.
That means. How about this? I think that we are called to stand up. That means around the lunch table at work.
Mm-hmm.
No, I disagree with that. No, I disagree with that. You see, if we follow that principle, we'll go. And I wonder if just maybe there's not enough voices in the. I mean, we know the media voice is kind of not heard correctly. But what about just all of us in our day-to-day lives rubbing shoulders with the people in our lives, saying, I have a different opinion. I believe God says this in a very assertive way.
Respectful, but assertive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Staying
not
strong in your
aggressive,
faith, yeah.
not passive, but in a very assertive way. This is my opinion and this is my voice and this is what I think.
Where that is
And,
hard
and
is
people are afraid to do that.
People are
They're
afraid to
being
get canceled.
pressured. Well, I think that's where you say, what would a Christian do? I think
Mm-hmm.
a Christian is not to fear men, not to fear that, but to stand up for godly principles.
Mm-hmm.
Godly principles.
That's what I would say. This whole sort of thing is like, ultimately, we know in the end what's going to happen. What happens in this world and politics and pop culture and Spotify, like, ultimately does not have the impact that I think sometimes, like, oh, the world's ending. It's all, going. It certainly affects people and our ability to reach them, but like ultimately, our hope is not in whether Joe Rogan is on Spotify
Right.
or
Fixing the
who's-
world.
Neil
who
Young's
is on
on
the
Spotify,
Supreme
or-
Court or whatever. Like,
Right.
man, we got to be more eternally
But I believe that's where the
focused.
church fell down 40 years ago or 50 years ago, with the church not standing by the church. I mean, Christian people not living their lives out, it just being verbalized. Well, I heard in California, you know what they're doing? They're going to allow gay people to live together, or they, and we started hearing these things, and then Christians just, well, that's in California, or that's, you understand, in 10 years, that'll be in your child in school will face going to the same bathroom as somebody of a different gender. And we just we're just not vocal. Again, not to be aggressive, but not to be
Yeah.
passive either.
Yeah.
Just assertive. This is who I am. My opinion is just as valuable as yours. And I'm even going to speak what I believe God says.
Yep.
In not a condemning way, but in a very assertive way.
Jesus was very assertive.
Yes.
I think people got this opinion of him that he's just this nice, take advantage of me, holding sheep and kids sort of image. I mean, that was one aspect when dealing with certain people.
Yeah.
But he was also very assertive, very direct, very
Flipping
even
tables.
angry,
He was aggressive at times.
aggressive with no,
When need to
that's
be.
not right. No, you're leading people astray. No, so I don't know. This like soft feel good kind of Christianity is not accurate.
No.
That's a good topic. Like you said,
Next week.
really definition of love.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that next week. Wow, we
love
smashed a
you.
lot into this.
I thought we were just going to talk about Spotify.
Yeah. And here we are.
Oh boy.
Is Pandora the same?
It's a streaming service.
Pandora is what people who listen to Neil Young use.
Yeah. yeah. It's either Apple Music or Spotify at this
How
point.
come some of my favorite artists were kind of anti-government?
Anti-establishment,
Yeah.
and now they're all pro-establishment. I mean, except for one, your favorite, who I can't make sense of one way or the other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting.
oh well,
All right, well, that was a lot.
that was a lot.
That was a lot.
Welcome to the current.
Welcome to the current. Yeah. All right, we'll see you next week.